Thank you very much for that introduction. I'll keep mine relatively short. I think that we should rather spend our time looking at the real interesting content here, what you are working on, and I first of all say welcome. We're very happy that you have chosen to spend your time here, the couple of hours with us here in House of Green. And I'd also say once again thank you for reaching out to us and for finding interest in using our data as at least a source of knowledge for your project. I should also say that we also thank you to the Danish Industry Foundation, who's obviously sponsoring this project, and they have also been a very big driver for establishing House of Green that you are sitting in here now. We are here in the name of data. I should perhaps start out by saying that you can access Wi-Fi here in House of Green. It's called House of Green, and the password is Green Growth. And if you feel a sudden urge to post something from in here today, you're very welcome to do that. And I might also mention that we are on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook if you wish to do that. So you're very welcome to do that. A bit about, as you said, a bit about us, State of Green, and our role here, the becoming of State of Green, and I'll very elegantly try as best as I can to try and conclude the presentation, leading out to how we feel that or how we have worked with the data and how it differs from your approach to it, I think. And we definitely see it as an add-on to our way of making sense of some of this data across the green Danish landscape. The obligatory slide, what is State of Green, or rather who is State of Green? For those of you who aren't familiar with us, very briefly, we're a public-private partnership. On the public side, we have 4 Danish ministries: the Ministry of Energy, Utilities and Climate, the Ministry of Business and Growth, we have the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the Ministry of Food and Environment. So on the public side, and that's countered with 4 Danish business organizations on the private side. We have the Confederation of Danish Industry, and we are in the house of the Confederation of Danish Industry. We have the Danish Energy Association, we have the Danish Wind Industry Association, and finally we have the Danish Agriculture and Food Council. We value a lot that we have this public-private side to it. It is obviously we are a branding organization, and we think it's a very important signal to send that we have both the public and the private support in driving this green transition here in Denmark. So our purpose, very from an overall level, is obviously to showcase the green solutions that we have here in Denmark, and ultimately we have a goal to increase the exports of these green Danish solutions, attract investments to Denmark, and we've been working for a number of years trying to find out the best way of doing that, and I'll touch upon some of the ways that we are working on now. Basically, we have 5 ways of doing that, and the website is a very central resource in which we do so. Just to touch upon also, just it'll be a bit of a warp speed introduction into what we do. I'd like to show a very brief movie at the end. It only lasts 4 minutes, which kind of summarizes all that I'll say to you. I'll start speaking to you here today. We share a bit about the political framework. We talk a bit about in a sense, the burning platform for change in Denmark. The fact that we were 99% dependent on imported energy back in the 70s, and the oil crisis hit, and since then we have had a number of initiatives, both politically and also on the business innovation side, that has driven us towards a focus on investments in renewable energy, in energy efficiency and energy infrastructure, and so on. We also share the story of the Danish decoupling story. This actually lies at the heart of what we communicate. You are probably familiar with this, but the fact that we have been able to increase our GDP growth, this is from the 1980s, by about 70%, while we have kept our energy consumption pretty much the same. So this is something that we like to show. Not to say that it's a one-size-fits-all to the delegations that we speak to, but it at least demonstrates that we have been able to make this decoupling. We talk a bit about, obviously, renewable energy. We put it in context, in the context of also fossil fuels. We try to show the distinction between the two, and of course also focus on the renewable energy mix. And based on the interests of the incoming delegations that we receive, it's public, or what we call political and public decision makers, as well as the international media, is what we primarily focus on in order to share the story of the green energy transition. We also inspire and try and give a look into the future. In this case, these are some scenario calculations made by the Danish Energy Agency, trying to propose some of these scenarios through which we are able to reach our vision of being independent of fossil fuels in 2050. And these are also some of the areas that we like to share and introduce to people interested. But focusing a bit more on specifically today and data and how we at least try to make sense of the data. Obviously, we cover the entire green landscape, and our way of doing that is through these different sectors that we have here. And we have some additional subsectors as well, and at the bottom, so to speak, we have the Danish companies and their associated solutions. Okay, so we try and use a bit of a funnel approach to categorizing these different areas. We focus specifically on the technologies and the solutions. We also like to bring people out and see how they work in real life. We think it's a very good way of inspiring people, that they can go out and they can see the technology work in action, and they can ask, well, what does that thing do, and how does that all work together? And our way of putting it into a bigger context is, of course, trying to capture some of these, a bit of the broader discourses, and try to funnel them down into the relevance for the specific technology that we're showing the delegation. I mentioned that we have 5 resources, and you can see them here. I won't go into detail with them. I'll focus on the website. That's why we are here today. And in many ways, the website is still the primary driver for the different or the additional resources that we actually that we work with. To give you a quick overview of how we have actually been developing our website. It started out basically as a website, nothing else. It was back in 2009 during the COP15. Prior to that, this website was created as a means of inspiration for these incoming delegations, that they had a sort of a one-stop to browse through the different solutions and technologies that were available at Denmark at the time. And building upon that, we in 2011, this was called energymap.dk, by the way. Building on that, we in 2011 tried to use the data and the knowledge that we had built into the website and tried to build a brand on top of it. Okay, so what characterizes 2011 was sort of bringing the solutions and tying them up to this nation branding, Denmark as a green nation. Okay, so we started facilitating much more communication, the tours, etc. And the latest we've done in 2014, which puts it into context, is focusing on the solutions as such, trying to make the solutions the primary driver of interest. Again, this is from our website. We made a quick start tool, and again, we use this funnel approach, so to speak, of doing it. Maybe we could call it a bit of a silo-driven approach. And the reason why we think the DTU project is very interesting is because, in a sense, at least from our understanding, is that you go in and try and break down these silos. So you try and look at the synergies between the different sectors, for instance, and obviously it's a different but very interesting way of making sense of some of this data that we work with. We obviously also try to make sense of it by translating it into different languages as well. That's our way of doing it. And just to give you an idea of what I mean when we use a funnel approach is that we give people an option of choosing a sector, and We have some subsectors, obviously. In this case, it's energy efficiency and heat recovery and ventilation, and industrial process. And then you're able to choose the specific either case or solution in question, and we then give the visitor a number of cases that are relevant in that context. Okay, so this is just to give you an idea of how we work with the data and try to show it. I promise it will be relatively short. If we have time, a short movie. I think that's it puts it a bit more into context. It's 5 short movies, I believe. It's animated, which try and brings you through some of these sectors that we're working with, and some of the political approaches that we have as well. I'll see if I can get it to work. With the big question. No, it's not there. All right, I'll show a livable city one instead. Sorry for the confusion. I thought it was on. Okay.
Our cities are growing, and so are the challenges to make them livable. But if we plan long term and across sectors, we can succeed through sustainable solutions. When you live in a city, you need to get around. An integrated network of public and sustainable transportation creates real alternatives to traditional mobility, improving both public health and air quality. Managing water in cities can spark cultural and economic developments. In Copenhagen, the harbour is now clean enough to swim in, and the area around the harbour baths has flourished. Cities live when people live. Planning urban spaces and recreational areas provide opportunities to enjoy the peaceful, green, and clean sides of city life. Adapting city infrastructure to climate change is not only a necessity, it's a great opportunity. Climate change solutions can create new public spaces that retain stormwater and also act as recreational spaces. The key to the livable city is a holistic approach. We can implement smart urban solutions that not only make cities prosperous, but also healthy, safe, and attractive places to live.
Right. That was it. I promised it would be short, so I'll give you back the stage, Mia. And,
thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, thank you.
So this was very interesting to see kind of the broader context of how Denmark is set in the scene for clean tech, but also especially how your website or your data can link into what we do, the heuristics that we provide.